the value of being a nurse. Now I'm gonna throw this out there. I know it's a stereotype for Filipinos. All Filipinos.
Go ahead, girl.
But the true value of helping someone through their darkest moments is a gift.
Completely emotionally draining. How do you not drink? Like, and no wonder a lot of people numb with drugs. Have you experienced competition?
Yes, I have.
Yeah? What was that like?
Whew.
What do you think are your strengths and what set you apart from other nurse coaches?
Oh, my goodness.
All right, we're kicking off our first ever mini-series, Competitors to Collaborators. I am Elisa, your host, your friend, and that niche bitch. Over the next 4 episodes, we're focusing on Filipina nurse coaches. How can they differentiate? How can they niche? Niche! First up is Rosemarie Dominia, a nurse practitioner with big Scorpio energy. She's born and raised in the Bay, and that's where you'll find her living, nursing, coaching, dancing, all of that. Let's go. Hello, we got Rosemarie Dominia. Thank you so much for joining me.
I'm so thankful to be here with you and be on this podcast. This is great. I'm excited. I appreciate you and what you bring to the table, and I feel honored to be here. So thank you for the invitation.
I got you, sis. So Rosie, for short, I had the pleasure of meeting you at a online networking conference with other Filipinos. And I don't know, we just clicked. I think it's because you're a dancer and I really vibed with that. And then I come to find that you're also a life coach, but not only that, you are also a nurse practitioner. But obviously there's more to that. So what can people not find out about you online regarding your nursing career?
Well, first off, becoming a nurse, I wasn't the type of person who said nursing is my passion. And I remember the very first nursing theory class I'd taken from USF. Woohoo, go Dons.
Hey, yeah, Bay Area.
I couldn't say that. I fell in love with the profession the more I started to learn about it. And that was through classes, but also in real life, what a nurse, what it means to really be a nurse. And so
right, beyond TV and stuff.
Yes, exactly. It was not the Grey's Anatomy or General Hospital, soap opera, none of that. But I would say the person who influenced me was my godmother, but it was also living with my grandmother. Talk about celebrating Women's International Month.
It is March when we are recording this. Yep.
And just saying that so I was in a meeting with a group of women from my spiritual community, and we were talking about our grandmothers. And I thought about my grandmother tremendously because she is someone who went through a lot of health issues and health ailments. And I remember as a kid, I wanted to help her, but I didn't really know anything as a kid of what really to do. So when in my career and going through classes, all that stuff, the value of being a nurse. Now I'm gonna throw this out there. I know it's a stereotype for Filipinos. All Filipinos.
Go ahead, girl.
But the true value of helping someone through their darkest moments is a gift. If you can hold space for that, and especially on the nurse practitioner level, like there's the diagnosis and the plan that you have after, and being a part of someone's journey and watching them heal is an honor to be present in their journey. But I love what I do because I love that I can help people heal. And it doesn't matter how someone shows up. You can show up on your darkest day and I would still treat you the same way. And it fills my heart to say that out loud. But
oh my gosh, I love that. I love this very deep why you have that started with your grandmother. And now it's like this little kid in you who just wanted so much to help her grandmother is now taking that same energy and helping other people and complete strangers too, which could, be easier, more difficult actually. And you mentioned something very interesting. You said to hold space, especially in their darkest moments. People throw that around all the time. How do you define holding space?
Holding space to me is being present for someone without judgment or expectation. I also use that definition for the word surrender. Sometimes when we think about surrender, we think of that for ourselves, that we hold space for ourselves without judgment or expectation. But in this role of being a nurse practitioner, I mean, my goal automatically, I feel like I need to fix something. And I realized in recent years, I can come in with a solution, but if a patient is not ready to do it, I can't force them. So in essence, it is that fine line of standing in two worlds where either A, I can have the solution, or B, just be still. So it really is that fluctuation of going back and forth depending on the vibe of the patient. But I also am
Yeah.
very clear. I just say, I tell my patients, I'm never going to force you what to do. I would give recommendations, but at the end of the day, I want you to make an empowering decision for yourself. So whether that's taking the
Oh,
medication, getting the vaccine, whatever
right.
they need to do, I make it very clear and they make that choice. And I find that patients respond better because I feel like they don't know they have that power to do that. And I don't know if I find a couple of, I'm not saying all practitioners, healthcare practitioners are like that, but I would say for me, it's the new age of what medicine is coming, is to individualize the approach, especially in a corporate system. It gets really hard.
Ooh,
We just have to get stuff done, but it is possible to do, or patients speak for themselves.
you're so articulate in explaining this. It's so beautiful. So I'm a layperson. I have nothing yet. Power pose. I love it. To segue to that next topic, especially your life coaching, is that you are one of the amazingly crazy people that are willing to go deep. And I love that the name of your game is reaching new depths. Like, so like there is a scary tunnel there,
Mhm.
and you're like, yeah, let's go. I'll hold your hand. And you're like, what? Really? You want to go through that?
Mhm.
Yes. So first, what inspired you to start life coaching? What led you there?
Ooh, okay. So this is tapping into a little bit of personal experience, a personal thing.
Yeah.
I lost my father suddenly in 2019, and I was the last person to see him alive. So all I will say
Oh,
to that, there
what an
was,
honor.
yes, an honor, probably one of the hardest things for me to witness in my conscious adult awakened life. But witnessing that, I think there was the start of a very big transformation for me. And prior to that, I really wasn't happy with where I was working and what I was doing. So I guess the question
Mm,
from there was, what is next? There was a program that I joined. So there's a couple of them out there, but I got my Integrative Nurse Coach certificate through INCA, which is the International Nurse Coach Association. There is another one out there, I can't remember the name, there's a couple of them. But doing the program itself and being there opened this new door for me. I'm like, wow, this exists in coaching. In nursing, I had no idea that this kind of role, and they had the education, knowledge, and theory, but like just the applied practices of it. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And it felt like it fit with my personality. So that was how Reaching New Depths coaching was, in essence, born. Was a
wow.
It was a transformation of myself, knowing that this is the kind of healing that I want to see in the world, an individualistic type of healing, a holistic type of healing that unfortunately corporate healthcare systems don't have enough time to do. Right? These are short visits, 30, 20, 25 minutes, 15-minute visits, and we can't dive deep like this. But I feel it's the one core thing that's missing in our current healthcare system, especially in conventional medicine. We can't
Mm,
deep with this. There's a lot of limits to it. I'm not saying one, part of medicine is better or bad. It's just more of, I feel
right.
this type of healing doesn't exist. It's not known fully that it's okay. As you're saying, it's okay. It's okay to go deep. It's okay
Yeah.
to acknowledge that stuff. It's just not there yet. I think we're moving there very slowly, but it's just not quite there.
Well, I mean, I see it. The fact that they're offering that program, the fact that there's enough people showing interest and like you graduating from it and actually using it out in the real world. I mean, it's slow. It might feel slow. And then all of a sudden, just like everybody and their mama doing yoga now,
It's gonna be a trend.
right?
It's coming. It's
Yeah,
coming.
it is. It's going to be rolling off like more. I mean, honestly, this is a series of more nurse coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you plus other two women. I mean, so we'll get into that. But for the audience, which I mean, my mom watching, break us break it down. What is this integrative
Oh,
nurse program? Like what makes it like it's it's still nursing technically, right? It's not like a separate,
correct.
just coaching like Tony Robbins kind of thing. So how is it that what's their perspective?
To break it down, nurses just don't follow doctors. I'm going to put it out there now. That's not what we do. We are educated in the art and health, or art and science of health. There we go. That's how I want to phrase it. And it's a true balance of that. So we have knowledge of the body, to all the bones, all the organs, all those things, some ailments and sicknesses, but also the art of looking at someone for who they are. So I feel like it's that really balanced integration. That's why I say it's really an art, looking at the person for who they are and also knowing the science and the logic behind it. So the heart and the mind, I must say. That's the best way I can say it at this moment. I knew I love being a nurse, but I'm not, at the time, I wasn't doing the thing that I wanted to do. In essence, I know I can help people heal, but it really truly wasn't in the way that I wanted to do it. And so when my dad passed, like part of why that was so transformational is you know how they say that life can change at any moment? There's that saying. That literally was put in my face by the universe. And I don't mind sharing this out loud, but so my dad had a heart attack, and our last interaction with each other was I helped him lay on the gurney. We're in the emergency room, and I put the sheet over him. I turned to put his clothes down, and when I turned back, he was already in the heart attack. And so there was something about that moment, and it plays in my head over and over and over again. Not the pain of it, if that makes sense, because yes, it's painful. So I miss my dad till this day, but there was another part of it where I was like, wow, life can really change at any single moment.
Just like that.
Why not start doing the thing that you truly love to do? And I think a part of that too was I had to question, like put a question mark in it, but what is it? And I had to try something, because all those years prior of being a nurse, it wasn't truly fitting to what I wanted to do. But also I had to think about, who am I and what can I bring to the table that feels true to me, but that also other people can be attracted to and find it useful. So that really was that pivotal moment, was watching that. And I'm thankful for it. Like, I'm very honored. I'm very to be there with him, because it really did change my life. And in our first talk when we met, I talked about spirituality, which is another added component to this, that part my healing process is including not just the physical, not just the mental and emotional, but the spiritual aspects of health. All of those to me weigh the same. They are all a part of health. And I think we isolate just the physical health as the main thing, and that's not true. We're human beings who have experiences. They all vary, but I do believe that that spiritual component is a very strong part of it too. We just all have to tap into what that means for ourselves. You know, we're not all the praying type. We're not all the meditative Zen type, but I think that's the component of humanity that is starting to awaken again, is how are we all connected? So I'll leave it at that.
I love that.
Spiritual board,
but no, I love it. It's great. I mean, and if you don't know, my girl here is a Scorpio, if you can't tell. So not to be morbid or anything, but I truly see death as a gift, because we then value so much of this life we have.
I'm going to add this on. Yeah. You know, part of that grieving process when I lost my dad was also grieving myself. And I think something needed to shift. And I feel that any of us who are in a position to help people heal or to be healthy is essentially reflective of your own journey. And that's how we're able to do it. So I'll leave it.
Yes. Oh man, like this is gold right here. Like I could end this episode right now, and I would love for people to take away, bam, right there. Yes, that Rosie, like, yo, she's done deep work. If you can't tell, face death in the face, literally. And just, man, the fact that you are able to grieve. I don't think many people know how to do that or feel appropriate to have someone help with that process. And I think, especially nurses, well, anyone in the medical field, especially in the hospitals, y'all face death every day. Yeah, very humbling. So with that, how did you come up with the name Reaching New Depths?
Okay, two parts to it. The first part is kind of funny. It's actually my initials of my name.
I was gonna say.
It is. So my full name is Rosemarie Dominia, so the RND.
Got it.
I was talking to my best friend, and I'm going to give her a shout out. Eileen has been my best friend for almost 30 years. Eileen Baylon. Love this girl.
What's up, Eileen? Thanks, girl.
We were talking about names and brainstorming. And I knew I wanted to use, because if we're going off the R&D, I was like, reaching.
Yeah.
I like the new, because I like when people reach for things, like you're going essentially above yourself or beyond yourself. Something new. This journey is new. It doesn't mean that you're starting over. It's just new. But what was
right,
new?
right.
We're like dimensions, diameter. Like we were just brainstorming
getting esoteric. Yeah.
And we're just like, what is this? But she was the one. That's why I want to give her props to find the word depth, because in essence, you're reaching for a new depth within yourself. So part of the symbol I have in the D, if you look closer, is there actually two hands that reach for each other. So you're reaching high, but you're also reaching low. And I think you didn't catch that. Yeah. So there, that's why I was like, that is it. I'm going to use it. I was like, but I have to give her props because I didn't come up with that. She did. And she was like, I think that she's like, Rosie, for you. And what you do is essentially that is what you want to do for people is you want to help them reach high, but also they have to reach low. And the transformation starts from that, in essence, that deeper level of yourself.
Oh, girl. See, this is why we resonate. This is why you're on the show. I mean, I totally agree with that philosophy, is that it's not starting over. It's like, that's why I like to call my business like vivid edge, right? You're like at the edge of what's familiar and then the unknown. So yeah. And then yours is like, yeah, we going deep. And I was like, oh yeah, that too. But it's like this new frontier, this part of yourself that you didn't know, but is there. That's so awesome. Another thing I'm really curious about are your values. And which is your number one? What's the highest value on that list?
The C, compassion.
Compassion.
That's my number one, like even personally. I think leading from the heart, I think there's always a balance. Having a balance is good. But in order for me to be really present with patients and even with myself, when it comes to this deeper work,
yes,
it has to come from love. Because if it can't come from there, I mean, not saying you can't be in pain, that you can't have the dark stuff. I think that's very vital to the journey as well. Like always, it's a balance. But if you come in it with the intention of loving yourself, my, have I seen many times with myself and with different people that I've gone on this journey with, how things unfold that you can't even imagine out of a place of love. And love is what connects all of us to each other. Even to our pets, to the plants, you name it. We are all, in essence, connected by love. And so having that connection links it in.
So this is interesting. I love that you answered two of the questions I was going to ask. You're like, what's your value and how do you see it play out in your business? Bam, got it. So compassion, and you were saying that when you come from love, do your clients have that intention when they come seek you out, that they want to love themselves more, or that they want to learn what compassion is towards themselves?
So the theme, thinking of the clients I've worked with, they do come in saying, I want things to be a little different. I want to appreciate myself more. Some of them say, I do want to love myself more. Or some say, I sense something different that I could do, but I'm scared to go there. So I think in all, like the theme of what I hear is you want to love yourself more, essentially. It's that self-love, that self-appreciation. And I would say yes, they do come, just they say it in different ways. And I ask them directly, I'm like, referring to loving yourself. And they usually nod their heads. Sometimes they can't admit it, they just stare at me. And I'm like, think about it. What does that really mean for you?
Ooh. So what do you think is so scary for them?
If we think, I want you to think about your life too. I'm going to think about my life as I say this out loud.
Okay.
But things, I think all of us have gone through certain types of pain or trauma in our lives. I think all human beings have the stories or the voices that are most of the time negative.
Right.
Think about it, right? And the ego is something everyone has, and it's a great tool. But I think it comes from this quote unquote, I'm using it in quotes because it's not always negative. But in essence, the ego is trying to protect you. But sometimes that negative voice saying, you're not worthy enough. You shouldn't do that. That's not worth it. You're going to fail.
Stay sane.
That's what I say. I think we all have it. So do I.
Yeah.
But it's always going to be there. It's always going to be there. Because if you think of the defense mechanisms and the things that have happened in our life, we have created those in our lifetime. most of it not knowing because we were too young to really understand what all that means and
Right.
how it affects our life as adults. So the scary part is what's underneath that? What are underneath those voices that are telling you those things? And I think that's where it gets scary because you
Mm.
have to acknowledge the truth and you have to acknowledge the discomfort. And even saying this out loud, I'm like, ugh, because it's
Yeah.
the story. One of the stories for me is I am not deserving or worthy of love or success. And I say that because I have the stories too. I come into this not as a perfect human being who's all like self-love, self-love. No, I'm doing the work as well. Like I have
Yeah.
so for 10 years doing this kind of work of focusing, how do I treat myself different? Because I knew at that point something has to shift. I'm tired of feeling this way. Tired of the old record and the story playing in the background that tends to put me down. It's not anyone else. When think about when you're alone and no one else is talking to you, what do you say to yourself? How do you treat yourself?
Oh,
And that's when you
girl.
can tune into, I know, I think all of us are like, doo, 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 like the wheels start turning if you think about it. Because we think sometimes, I'm not saying that you can't have external influences on you, I mean, that hurt you, because I think that exists too. But that's why I really am clear in saying when you're alone and by yourself and no one's talking to you, something hurts you or something feels off, what do you say to yourself? Is it, oh, I'm going to give myself love and compassion and be gentle? Probably most of the time you're like, I shouldn't feel this way. I'm going to push through this.
Yeah. Go, do something. Do something
do something about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, since you were so brave to share, I will share too. I think coming up, my fear was like, oh, I'm going to see something about myself that I don't like. Like, am I really like that? Oh no. I'm not perfect.
Oh, I know that voice.
Wait, but I work so hard. I do this inner work. I do self-development. Like,
I've already done this
I know
before. Why am I
better.
doing this again? Yep.
Yes,
The entitlement.
exactly.
Yep.
So on the flip side, what was your worst client experience?
Ooh, yeah. That's a great.
Don't worry, I'm gonna bleep it out.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, it was, I'm gonna say this. Any challenge that you have is an opportunity to learn. Okay, it is. It is. Not saying you can't have your feelings of I feel guilty, bad, did I do something wrong? But I did have one client who disagreed with the process, but didn't tell me till the very end. And although I asked him throughout sessions, how's it going? What can we do differently? Never truly said anything. And at the last session, he said, I felt like I couldn't talk about what I really wanted to, which was interesting. Because if you're getting to know me on this podcast already, I'm open to honest and deep conversations. So he was, he was very honest in telling me that he started work with a therapist, which was great. But it made me realize, and my partner, I want to give her props for this too. Because I was talking this with her and I was like, wow, that really hurt my feelings because I was coming from the heart. But I'm not saying it's like, oh, I was doing bad or this client did bad. But my partner looked at me and said, he wasn't ready for this kind of work.
Oh,
right. And I think sometimes we don't know that until we go through the process. So I'm going to put this out there. I hope now that this particular client is doing the work he needs to and what he's ready for. Because again, I think you've said it. I go deep into stuff and that can be scary. But I think maybe there was a part of it that even if I can check in, if someone doesn't say to me it's too much, I can't do it, then my guess is, okay, we can continue moving or going in deeper. But again, I didn't find that out to the last moment. Although he did say it was a positive experience, that's what his feedback was. I didn't really get to talk, but all good. It's okay. Because at the end of the day, I always want people to work with who you feel is the best fit for you in that moment. So, but if it's not for you, it's not for you. And that's okay. There's different modalities that are out there. There's different coaches. I mean, there's so many people. Billions of us on this planet. You're bound to find one person if you choose to go into going deeper into your work that you can work with. So that would, by far, I would say, is the most challenging client I had.
Yeah, I mean, you gave us the summation, like you've already processed it, but I can imagine going through it. You're like, oh my God, like, were you questioning again? Like,
I was supposed
to do this?
It was, it didn't, I want to say it didn't traumatize me. That's not the right word. But
okay, good.
It did hurt. I did feel bad and guilty because I'm like, what could I have done differently? But I also think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I did all I could knowing with what I had. But that's when my partner said that, I was like, thank you for reminding me, because sometimes people can't say the truth, they can't admit it,
Hmm.
whatever that truth was. And I think in essence, just not ready to go there with himself yet. And that's okay. And
Yeah.
that's okay too.
Oh, there's that compassion value coming out.
It's the big
Yep. Compassion. Yeah. So
compassion. Yeah.
compassion.
Compassion. Compassion.
Compassion. So with this one, that was less than ideal, but probably the most challenging one. How did you learn or grow from that? Just to tie it all in a nice neat knot.
I would say, well, it made me automatically, of course, review what I was doing. Is it still
Hmm.
true to who I am? Is it clear? And I guess that's another part of it. I had to think with myself, especially the clients who came after.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yes, I made some adjustments to make sure it was clear, maybe checking in more often
Yeah,
with
yeah.
clients that came after. How's this process going? What can we do to make it a little bit more clear for you?
Hmm.
But also, I mean, in all honesty, it still showed me that I am doing the thing that speaks true to me. It just reaffirmed that this is still the kind of work I want to do. Even if it doesn't result in the, hey, this is a wonderful experience and I'm transformed. But I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, but this is what I offer and what I bring to the table. And I don't expect everyone to have a 10-star rating on it. I think it's unrealistic to think that. Of course, want you to have a positive experience, but I know going on this journey is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard and it takes time. I
Yeah.
can't, even if I have a program that's 1 month or 3 months, and I tell them in the very beginning, I'm like, we're going to start this journey, but it's going to go as long as it needs to, even after we meet. The work continues.
100. It's not like school where, you go through the grades and you get a diploma, you are healed. It really is kind of a process, right? I mean, especially with this kind of deep work, like, yes, there are other people like therapists, spiritual healers, other coaches, and it's not like, oh, this person is meant for me or this person is meant for me. I feel like there's a different timing to it. Like, yes, they might work with you, then they might go to a therapist and they're like, okay, maybe now I'm ready to jump back in with Rosie, and then I'm gonna go check out this midwife, doula, spiritual healer over there, then come back to Rosie. It's like different different phases, different,
Yeah.
yeah, levels or readiness. There's just a lot of options. I feel like when people say no to you, it's just not now.
That's it. Yes. And like the very beginning, I will always hold space for someone no matter how they show up. This is not about me. I think that's what it comes down to. This is about the client's experience and their journey and helping them to see where they are now
Mm-hmm.
and opening up this door to the opportunity and possibility to do something even just a tiny bit different. And that tiny difference can open the door wide to something they can't even imagine. It's not a grand gesture, but even just if you wake up every morning and you're just like, I am going to have a good day and I appreciate myself, then I've done my job. It's leaving that mark, that knowing that you have another choice to choose how you want to feel about yourself. And that's what essence of self-love is. Again, all experiences will be what they are. We're always going to have challenging ones, but it's knowing that you have the awareness to choose another way to treat yourself. And my hope is always with self-love and kindness.
Ooh, that answered my next question was, what do you hope people take away from you? Perfect. It's like you're reading my mind.
On the same wavelength with
Self-love.
water signs.
Exactly, just flowing. Yeah. So empowerment, the choice to feel self-love, the awareness. I love that. So with that, do you find that there are similarities, commonalities, whether that's demographics, experience, industry, challenges, blah, blah, with your clients, the kind of people that you work with?
So far, it's been a mixture of males and females,
Okay.
different ethnicities, mostly women.
Mm,
I will say, if I were to really break it down, mostly women,
yeah.
mostly women of color. So
Hmm.
interesting. I'm open to anyone and everyone.
Right. You don't say no.
No, I don't say that.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're not the look. No, and I would never say,
Yeah.
but
You're
as
not the
far as but
vibe.
adults adults. So I would
Yes.
say the youngest client I had was 17, 18.
Ah,
The oldest
wow.
client
They
is
woke.
50.
Okay.
So, and it's been a
Mm.
range of each decade. So it's been interesting. It's
Mm.
how it's been so far. I'm still open to working with everyone and anyone. I think that part,
Mhm.
maybe this is off the podcast, but that's later on with you. But that's honestly the demographics have been very, I feel they're pretty diverse
Yeah.
across the board. In essence, that's also what I strive for too, is diversity and inclusion. So it's,
Oh, beautiful.
yes.
Yeah. And is there any, I mean, I'm trying to, my strategic brain is kind of like trying to narrow in. There's got to be something, but of course, that could just be me, and I can be wrong. But is there like a specific challenge or trigger that they're like, you know what, shit, I need to hit up Rosie, or she sounds like she can help me with this, what I'm going through right now.
I feel that when someone reaches or they had enough and they've
Ooh.
tried everything else, and I can't name what the everything else is, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the clients have come to me, they're just like, I've had enough of feeling this way and something needs to change. And they want to feel safe. They want to feel seen and heard. This is a very
Mm.
vulnerable space to be in. So being with someone where you feel safe, where you
Yeah.
feel seen and heard without question. It's not even about the logic, it's about the feeling. And this is where
Mm-hmm.
that innate human trust comes in, that we're connected.
What has been a favorite part of your process in coaching your clients?
You know what's great is when we, like, you know how we're talking now. This is kind of how
Yeah.
my sessions go with my clients too. It's not
Ah.
like there's some logic to it and there's some structure,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's the open dialogue and it's the laughter I love the most out of anything with my clients. Like we will end up laughing, but some of that laughter is expression of love. Some of it is just releasing frustration.
Oh, yeah.
The favorite moment
Mm-hmm.
for me is staring at them through the camera or through their video where their eyes just widen and they smile and they don't even realize they're doing it. And I look at them,
Oh,
I'm like, I'm going
cool.
to give you some feedback. It appears that your body has relaxed, your eyes are wide and smile, and like you're smiling. They're like, I am? And I'm like, yes, you are.
My medical opinion says that you are relaxing. You've
Yes.
released some serotonin.
But those are my favorite moments when they have their own aha, but making them conscious too. Do you feel what your body is doing right now? Because I think it's
Oh, yeah.
like connecting that logical brain to the feeling brain. Because I'm like, it's
And
something,
the body.
and the, yes, exactly. And the body.
Body. Because you as a dancer girl, people need to know you're very embodied too. I think, as much as people feel and people think, like there is this vessel here too that also feels and thinks, or feels what we're feeling and what we're thinking.
Oh, yeah.
So do you incorporate that?
That is a great question. Yes, that's coming up soon. So what I thought of doing at the start of this year is piloting a program called Heal Thyself. So it's HEAL hyphen THY. So healthy self, but heal
Healthy.
thyself.
Oh, nice. Genius.
Yes, I was just like, no, I mean, I just never heard it broken down like that. And I thought about it, I was like, healthy, healthy. What does that mean? And when I broke it down, I was like, wait a minute. You're healing yourself. I mean, this is what it's about. You're healed thyself. Healthy means to heal yourself.
Yes.
I heal. That's what it means. So
she's a nurse. It must be true.
The nurse practitioner, she knows. But part of that is a combination. So it's a pilot program. It's a combination of coaching virtually and also in person. So right now I'm looking for people in the Bay Area who would be open to meeting with me in person to work more on the physical movement, the embodiment of healing. So I primarily do my coaching remotely. That's how it's been since 2020.
Yeah.
But given COVID and everything that's happened, I think now we're in a safer point in time to be in person with each other. But I bring this element, as I said, my journey reflects what I do in my coaching, and dance has been a big part of that for me. And I think that's part of healing, is moving your body. Again, it's the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, environmental. It's all of it in one. So it'd be nice to see people in person and in essence, yes, dance and move with them in a way that's healing for them. So that's in store. And I'm just looking for some experimental clients if they're open at a very discounted rate to do that. Because I just want to make sure it works. But I think
yes, and we will share all those details, your contact details, all of that in the show notes where that's here or there. I don't know.
So that's all I'll say. But yes, it's coming soon. Coming soon.
That's exciting. Okay, so how do you know? I mean, not necessarily just for the Heal Thyself, Healthy Self program, but also in your one-on-one type of clients. Like, how do you know that they're a good fit?
Mm.
Do you have like a discovery call kind of thing, a questionnaire?
Absolutely. There is definitely a consultation / discovery call on the before we even work together to get a feel of it. That's how I usually filter out patients who, and they essentially make the choice. And I've had a few clients where I've had this call and they choose not to work with me. I'm like, great, I'm glad you know that. So I think at the end of the day, if you're ready to know, you just know. But yes, it's a discovery call. Absolutely.
And is there certain things that you listen for or that you ask and kind of gives you an idea like, yes, they ready, or maybe I'll refer you over here first kind of thing? Yeah.
Yes, there is. I do ask a series of questions, and it's not an interview, it's just a conversation. And it's an open conversation about where the person is, what they want for themselves. And I am also very clear on my approach and what I can offer. And so it is really just this open exchange of, do we vibe well together? There are a few I have said, maybe you might want to look into another thing, another service before looking into this. I think that's just more of my medical brain, kind of like, maybe you might benefit from this too.
But that's great.
But I also want to be real with clients in that, because some I have, like, I see the cringe when I say, hey, we're going to go a little bit deeper, but it's okay to have the cringe. And then I have to ask what's behind that, what's coming up for you in this moment. So, but it's an open dialogue. It's meant to be a friendly, open dialogue of what's going on with the client and just what I do. And just seeing if it just gels together.
Can you give an example? I can also share an example, but can you give an example of when you're like, oh no, this might not be the right time?
I would say
or if it's something in retrospect, you're like, oh, that was a red flag I didn't see, and now I know.
I guess there's two examples I have in mind. So one is really depending on where someone's mental health is. They haven't worked with a psychiatrist or a therapist. I usually would say, like, and just ask about it, like, have you ever looked into these services for you as a first line? Because I think some of it, that's a very different type of management that may require another form of treatment that's in that realm of medicine. And then the other part I want to answer, I do remember one consultation I had where it was complete silence and no response. Yeah, so I think that was the other part of it. I was asking questions and I can tell there was a lot of fear and hesitation to all of it. And I think that also signaled me too. I'm like, okay, I think it's probably not going to move forward in the direction. I mean, at the end of the call, this person said, I'm going to think about it, and then eventually said no, which I think it made sense.
Yeah.
I think if there's not an open dialogue, we're connecting and there's not a lot of words spoken, it's like, I think that kind of showed the honesty of where the person was and how useful I could be to them. So right, not just going to show up and stare at each other basically in your consultations. I know one of the things I had asked you earlier was what are the 3 songs that you're listening to in this first one? And it's not that I'm like, oh, you like country? Oh no, sorry, bye. You will be surprised. People have trouble answering that. Either one, they won't commit, or number 2, this one, oh, hello, thumbs up. Sorry, I count with my thumb. So one, they won't commit to a song. And I'm just like, what? Like, you can't tell me? Like, just tell me, like, 1 or 2 songs. And like, oh, it might be this, or just tell me. Just tell me 1 or 2, right? And the other thing that, was a big mistake on my part was a client I had a really difficult relationship with didn't listen to music.
I found that out after the fact that we had started working, and then started to, well, the defecation hit the ventilation, and and I was like, you don't listen to music? And I'm like, wow, if I had asked this, you know, uh, way in the beginning when we first started working with each other, I could have avoided a lot of this heartache. But now I know. But isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there a specific goal that you're working on them with? Like, do they need, like, oh, I want to be less frustrated with my significant other, or more patient, I guess? Yeah. Is there things like that? Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So a lot of it centers around the self-love and self-kindness, and how to start implementing that in their life while they simultaneously let go of the other stuff and heal. So there's like multiple processes that run through that. I mean, that's all I will say. I mean, there's a lot of different things depending on where someone is too, because sometimes they may come in, I feel really crappy today, I had a really bad week, and then we focus on that. But I tend to bring it back around and say, okay, if you're open to it, what can we learn from it? But also, how can you take care of yourself if this situation were to come up again? So I will share this, like even with at my nurse practitioner job, a question.
Yeah, I was going to say, this sounds very like a nice integration of your.
It is. I mean, who I am and what I do as a coach. I think these days I like to use the word healer, because it translates.
Yes, it's very much, yeah.
Translates to what I do as a nurse practitioner. But the question
transcends labels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. I've asked a lot of my clients, first off, you're kind of just leading it in. What's your stress level on a scale of 0 to 10? Is it manageable? Then we'll see how you answer it. What do you do for self-care? And most of the time that answer is, I go to the gym, I go on vacation, but I couldn't really do that recently. So if someone came to me with like, my stress level's 8 out of 10, right? That's really high. So we go through these questions, then they give me examples of self-care. And then I ask the question, we're going to go a little deeper with that. What do you do for self-care while you're working? And I get like deer in headlight stares.
I'm like, wow.
What is that? Yeah, exactly. So this is something I think I'm introducing even as a part of my regimen to make sure clients are aware of that self-care is just not something you do outside of work. You need it.
I mean,
yes,
I split it up. Yeah.
So it's an interesting question that has come up. And it's a lot of people can't answer it because they think that self-care is just something you do outside. I'm like, nope, you need self-care when you're the most stressed or frustrated, when there's some kind of negative feeling you feel. That's actually when you really need it. And I'm not saying you do this grand gesture. I actually introduce breathing or like small things. I'm all about, again, small steps, small attainable steps that can be done during someone's job. So I'm very realistic in that way. I'm not saying that you need to journal and reflect. I mean, that's part of it. But realistically, during your work, you're doing it, you're just constantly doing your tasks. But I'm like, what can you do in those small bite-sized moments to take care of yourself? Because that can change the game. Again, small baby steps, small steps.
You're just sprinkling in some self-care throughout. Wow, now I'm seeing it integrating, like self-care into here's your work, here's your self-care, integrating. Yeah, wow.
And I'm very intentional about implementing these new things depending on how a client's life is.
Tailored. Ooh, yes.
Yeah, and it's about that. It's not about you need to only just journal, take a break. I mean, go on a trip on the way. It's not all that. I think we have to start looking at how do we love, take care, how are we kind with ourselves in our everyday life. Because let's face it, those same habits, the opposite of that, exist in those moments too.
Right. Right, exactly. Probably majority of the day, if I'm being real.
Yes.
I love that. You're like, hey, you know what? We're gonna microdose on self-care.
I love it. I love that.
Do you want to get into the juicy part now? All right. We talked about that pivotal moment with your dad and the fact that you're like, I want to do something different, something, find more fulfillment in my life. Where are you now? Where do you hope to grow or take this?
Ooh, you want to go there with me, this Scorpio? This is what I've been thinking about the last few months of where do I want reaching to depths coaching to go. With the Healthy or the Heal Thyself program, that's one element of it. But eventually, I want to have my own practice where I can integrate being an NP and coaching, have a physical location for it. That's my dream with this.
Oh, dream big, girl. Yes.
I mean, this is where I see it going. And it's a combination of a lot of the things I've been through in my career as a nurse. But I think it's really come to a head that this is what I want to do. But having that physical space of not just having a remote, but people coming into a space where they feel they can release and be safe. Again, it's so different to have the human connection in person and what that does. Because the other skills that I have outside of this, I am a Reiki practitioner. So I am about energy healing. Like that's the stuff I'm not really able to do as much. I can, and I do with my sessions as part of it. But to do that in person, it's different. It is very different.
Yes.
Next to someone who you can feel that from. But it's scary to say that, but that's what I see.
Yes, put it out there.
Yes, I am putting it out there. It's just something I think about. Like I would love to do more movement and dance, maybe have group things go on in this space. And like it's a healing movement. It's just I'm so happy like saying it out loud, but scary, but it's just that's where I see it. And that's where I see it growing.
That's truth right there. That's truth right there. You're like, oh my God. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing. There are, I mean, let's be real. Filipina nurses, plenty. Filipino nurses, singers, dancers, multifaceted beings. Like, have you experienced competition regarding nurse coaching or in any form, I guess?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was that like?
Whew, I think it is healthy to have competition. I do. But I think internally there's a fine line of having it be unhealthy. Because at the end of the day, everyone is putting themselves out there because that's what they believe in and that's their passion. And what I realized with myself, and that's why I gave that yes, because absolutely I'm hit in that way. I think the moments I start to feel jealous is because I know that that's something I want for myself and it's not quite there yet, right? And that's the internal work. But there is a fine line. You can either attach yourself to it and live through that and be competitive in that way, which is not genuine. It's not who I am. Right. I can't live from that boat, but be acknowledged that, right, you know what, this other nurse coach is doing amazing and this person is going to inspire me to help me move forward and grow in what I want to do. But absolutely I that way.
Where did you see this? Was it on Instagram? Like where was the trigger? Like,
Instagram. I would say I saw it a lot on Instagram and
social media.
People that I have met too, that I know, right? And I'm just like, but that's my internal response. It's because yes, I want that for me too. I do.
Right.
But yes, I've seen it mostly on Instagram. I feel like there's a lot more people who put their business out on there versus Facebook.
Yes, exactly. And because you shared, I'm gonna share too, but yes, social media, right? And it's just like, oh my God, they have a YouTube, I have a social media. What am I gonna say? But then that trigger in me is just saying, do it.
Yeah.
Just go do it.
Yes.
Why not? So what? So what if they already have it? But what do you think are your strengths and what set you apart from other nurse coaches?
Oh, my goodness. But I'm very, very, very strong in the fact that I can truly hold a safe space for my clients and have them feel seen and heard, which is key. I can help my clients recognize their truth and speak it out loud, even when it's scary, like what I'm doing right now. It's freaking me out, but no, but helping them to do that. And in true essence, based on personal experience too, I am a healer. And saying that out loud is a strength. I am a healer. My passion is to help people heal in the way they need to see and feel it. And I can do that for them in multiple ways, not just through talk, but also through movement and through different, very open and flexible and versatile in my approaches too. And I think I can definitely create the experience where it's individualized. And I feel like that's where I am unique because across the board, every client that I've had is really different, as we all are.
Right.
And I can be open and flexible with my structure and help them see it and hear in a way, again, that they need to see it. So I'm very,
Yeah.
my empathy is strong as hell. Very, very strong to really
I
put
will
me in
test to that. Yeah.
but it is. And so from that, like it really does come from compassion. Yes, it comes from personal experience. It's all of it. It's all across the board. And now you're meeting me in 2024 where I have more confidence in saying that, like, I know what I bring to the table. I do. If you want to work with me, great. If you don't, that's great too. I'm okay with that. I would rather have someone meet me halfway, and that's what it's about. I will never leave you alone. Like you said in the beginning, I'm here to hold your hand and go through that tunnel, go through the darkness.
That dark,
discover
scary
together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I will be with you along the way as long as you need me to.
Yeah. And I will say, you do take integrative, that concept to really deeper depths, you know, not to sound redundant, but yeah, just the fact that you are really integrating these self-love, self-care things into just small parts of their day, you know, because people were like you said, you like, I do Reiki. Yeah, so does she. But Reiki is not something that you can integrate. Like, I still need to go to someone for Reiki. But you're like, no, breathing or just closing your eyes or something, just, you know, taking a deep breath throughout their day. That's just, that the fact that you're able to just, you got a little spot right there, bam, get it in. Your tattoo, your beautiful tattoo, my dear.
Which one?
Can you give us the one that I can see right now? Yeah, your arm tattoo. Tell us about it. Because I feel like that's another aspect that I'm sure you're not just going to get a tattoo, girl. You go deep. There's some meaning behind it, I'm sure, like 50 layers deep.
Yes. Well, I have a few of them. But this one even okay. So my tattoos, this one's a special one that if I will talk about this one, I would love to just highlight this one as an important one. But I am tattooed pretty much from the bottom of the right side of my back all the way up, as Elisa can see it, all down the arm to my wrist.
Yep. Check it out on her Instagram.
Oh yeah, it is actually on there too. I'm just sitting with my back all modeled. These tattoos are a representation of my story. And I have added on to it over time when I felt like I have reached another level of transformation and I have transcended. For a long time, I was afraid to have tattoos where they were easily visible. Maybe part of it's old school. Professionally, you don't show tattoos, you cover them up. But I was like, you know what? Part of when I thought about that, I was like, wait, then I'm just hiding who I am and myself. And being a person who identifies as queer. You know, I get it. That's, you know, that in itself, being open with my sexuality and who I am, coming from this traditional Catholic family.
Filipino upbringing,
But this last tattoo is about approaching my life with joy and optimism. And no matter what the challenge is, I don't know if you can see this, but there are actually fish right here that are swimming. So,
oh my God, how cute.
So it's looking through that lens of having positivity. Doesn't mean I'm not doing the work when I do positive work. Of course, that's always there. But knowing that that is a path I can choose no matter what challenge comes my way. But this one on my left forearm, this was the first visible one, but it had to do with my dad. That's why it's special to me. So when he had the heart attack, when I knew that he was in it, I ran over to the bed and I turned him to the side and I was shaking him. So I was like doing what they call a sternal rub. I was shaking him, I was screaming to wake up, and that's when I called for help.
Great having a nurse in the family.
I was like, but this is the last point of contact with my dad. And really what it has is the numeral 7. I'm the youngest of 7 siblings, so we call ourselves the Lucky 7 with my last name. And these are just about change and family. So this is why this one is it has its own space on this arm because this has in relation to him.
Girl, I am too. I feel you. But I mean, just that alone, I know we didn't get into it, and I know that you are beyond these different labels, but from a relatability standpoint, you know, like you're in medical, you're Filipino, very conservative type of backgrounds, yet you're like, no, I'm going to show my tattoo.
I'm like, I'm going to be me. Yes, it's different.
Queer, right? It's if anything, I mean, not that your clients have to be queer or unconventional, although they might be more open to it. You know, I see people who are like potentially didn't feel like they fit in their own skin, or that they have an inner rebel maybe, but felt like they had to follow these structured kind of upbringing. Yeah. And the fact that you're also the youngest, I feel like the youngest siblings really do have a lot of empathy training, because we watch everybody else in front of us go
Yes.
through what they're going through. But yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
And being first generation too. That is another
Yeah.
of this that's very different.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, between two worlds. So I feel like, if anything, if you were a song, I mean, I know you sent me a lot of R&B stuff, but you are very much like cross genre, you know?
In many ways, yes.
Yeah.
Like, look everywhere.
Those are my people. Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm here, but you know what? I also like to go this way too. Yeah. So I think that's so beautiful. Like, the fact that you are not afraid to be who you are, even in these very strict, structured type of environments.
Yes.
And thrive. That's awesome.
Whew. Thank you for reflecting that, because in this day and age, although things are more open, I mean, that the challenges of being yourself are still very difficult.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We find communities, we can do that in our platforms like yours, where I can say, yes, I am first generation Filipina and I'm queer and I got a bunch of tattoos and short hair and shaved head, like going against the norm of what I grew up in. It helps me know that it gives me hope that things are shifting as far as humanity, and moving in that direction where we can all accept each other. It's okay to have differences. It's okay to have opinions.
Right.
But can we all come to the table as one and through love?
Exactly. A more open and loving, accepting world. I feel you, girl.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being with me and letting me, pick on you.
No, you're not picking
pull out all these different deep things. Yes. I appreciate you for sharing all these beautiful, intimate stories with me, sharing your energy, sharing your time. Other than the Heal Thyself, Healthy Self workshops coming soon, who would you like to invite to those? Who would be a great fit?
That's a good question.
We can always talk about that later, but people who want to embody more movement, are they working through something specifically?
Actually, I mean, this is, I think, a question for still some brainstorming, but you answered something that was very unique to this, is that people who are open to moving and being a little comfortable with it, because part of it is trusting in that process too. It's not that you have to be this grand dancer, trained dancer, and do all these. Not that. But just being, I think there's a part of it that it's different when you start to express yourself in physical form and through movement.
Yes.
It's very different to talk about it, but it's also very different to move. It's like, you have the thoughts, now here's the action that comes out. So in essence, yes, I would like people who feel comfortable with doing that, because I think it is a scary thing to trust in that, because you have another being in there who's going to be with you. And that also trusting process too.
Oh, you know what? If you're open to it, I'm gonna challenge you. Let's have like a free workshop where people can sample what a movement session would be.
Ooh, okay.
I want to go. For selfish reasons.
Let's talk about it. I'm open to it. I'm open.
Yay! So, okay, they can find you on Instagram, YouTube. Where else, honey?
Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I have a page, and LinkedIn. I'm also on there as well.
Because you're a nurse practitioner. What is the best way to contact you? Where are you most accessible?
Yes, so I'm mostly on Instagram out of all of them. So RND Nurse Coach. You can also, I have a website, rndnursecoach.com, and you can email me through there if you need an email. rnd@rndnursecoach.com. Hopefully it's easy to remember, but all of it has RN.
Exactly.
Coach, yes.
Brand consistency.
Yes.
Yes, mamas.
It helps. Yes.
Yes. All right. So check her out. Give her a holler and look out for her workshop details. Thank you so much, Rosemarie.
Thank you.
Rosie.
I mean, thank you so much for allowing me to share my story and providing this platform. I feel, again, very honored to be here. I am full of gratitude, just coming into contact with a very open, loving, and positive spirit and soul. So thank you. Thank you for this.
I did not ask her to do that, y'all, for the record.
No, she's not paying me more to say
Thank
that
you
stuff,
so much.
but she's amazing. But it's wonderful to connect with you, and I am just very thankful for the opportunity.
Likewise, thank you so much. Thank you does not even cut it. I appreciate you so much. All right, here we go. And cut.
Thanks for watching and getting to know Rosie. If you can't tell, she's not afraid to go deep, and she's got jokes. So let me know in the comments what resonated with you so we can get some conversation going. Next up, of course, another Filipina nurse coach. Her name's Karen. And meanwhile, if you want to get super nerdy with me, check out the recap episode where I break down Rosie's brand, its strengths and opportunities. Till next time.